Welcome, guys, to Mic'd Out, featuring your host, Anthony Castillo.
And Mike Pineda. Thank you for joining us on YouTube Podcast. You can follow us on all our social medias, all with the same name of Trinted Media, TTRINTED Media, on Instagram and Twitter. So, Castillo, tell me, what are we going to be talking about on this podcast?
Guys, just to kind of inform you a little bit more about the podcast and what we got going for you guys. It's going to be a lot about sports, get into fantasy football, get into just football in general, get into some basketball, some baseball. Just kind of have an open format and have some side talk. Primo, can you go ahead and lead us into some side talk and what we got going on?
Yeah, so side talk, we're gonna be talking about Miami sports in general. We're gonna be talking about the Dolphins, the Heat, the Marlins, the Panthers, maybe the Hurricanes, some college teams maybe, but most in general, all the local sports here in South Florida mainly. But we'll also go off track. We could talk about shoes. We'll talk about gaming. We could talk about your trash golf skills maybe.
For sure, my trash ass golf game for sure.
But we'll be talking about life in general, maybe hobbies. The list goes on. It's an open format podcast, so
yeah, definitely the season is going to be a fun season. We got a lot to go, a lot of content. Yeah. Episode 1 will just kind of feature more about some football, fantasy football, get into like the fantasy free agencies, get into some running back talk with Dalvin Cook, talk about D-Hop and where he'll probably land, the top rookies and where you see how they'll impact the teams, get some, Miami basketball talking, some Miami Heat basketball, free agents and how they'll impact the NBA landscape. Obviously, I'll get into some baseball. And we'll do All-Star Game weekend, talk about the Marlins and how great they've been playing. But yeah, definitely the most important thing I want to kind of, talk about in regards to the podcast is just engagement with our followers and subscribers, making sure we're having great interaction with you guys. So for the most part, I just want to make sure that you guys go ahead and follow us. Make sure you're following us on Instagram and Twitter. Trinted Media, TTRINTED Media on Instagram and Twitter. And we're going to conclude this with that right there. So my name is Anthony Castillo.
And this is Mike out.